Hey, Larry here. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Larry's Fountain Pen. Today we're going to be doing that upcoming video on ways to fill a pen. And while we're at it, I will show you how I make my nibs a bit wetter. So what I think I'll do first, this will be a lengthy video like I said before, so you need to just have a seat, relax, grab yourself a snack, a drink, and spend time with me and what I do. Now, you probably already know this already. You pen experts out there already know this, but sit back anyway and just see how I do my thing. And for you new people, newbies, people thinking about fountain pens, people that got into fountain pens and still aren't sure, this may help you. But this is how I do my fountain pens. Can you dig it? I knew you could. So before we do anything, here, Mr. Announcer, is a
shim.
That's right. And this, Mr. Announcer, is a
nib.
Yes. This is a Jinhao nib. And here's what I do. I get the shim and I stick it in between the times. There. And you can floss it through if you want. Like I just did. But what I do, a lot of times, I'll just put that shim right in there between the times. And I'll let it sit overnight. And check it out next day and see if it's wet enough. If not, I'll either do this process again or I'll just kind of like floss it. You just want to make sure that your times are going to be in line like this, not out like that. Got it? It's real simple to do. Remember, you do this at your own risk. So if you have a pen that's in warranty and you want it wetter, if you do anything to that pen, you can have that warranty voided. So you do it at your own risk. So, you know, I get Jinhao nibs. They're really affordable. And so I'm not worried about if I mess one up or not. And I learn from nibs like this. All right, here we go. If you happen to do a pen and you need to take the nib out, you need a rubber grip of some sort. And this is what I use. On some pens, a lot of pens, you can use a short standard cartridge like this one. And it's always handy to have a syringe. And these syringes have blunt ends, as you can see. Not going to hurt you. Okay. And I'll just put that on right now because we'll be using that here in the short. And some syringes. And this is a pencil. And Mr. Announcer?
That is an ink miser.
Yes, sir. Very good. He's learning too. And I'm very proud of him. He actually wants to learn. The ink miser, I think this is like $9, I'm not sure. And they have different styles. This one, they have black ones, and they have the ones that fit in the bottle of ink. So, and of course the pencil. And here's my Jinhao 992. This is the one that I found that the top of the pen broke off. I don't know how, so I just glued it back on. I mean, it's still usable. Not attractive, but what the heck? I'm not going to throw it away. And here's the Jinhao 450. And here's the Winsong. Yay! People love these pens. Okay. So. And some silicone grease. So, you could use it if you ever eyedrop a pen. Make sure you have some silicone grease laying around. You just need a little bit of it, okay? And, which I didn't get, a Q-tip. La la. All right. Ding dong. and always for me, a cup of Starbucks. Starbucks, baby. Vanilla latte. That's my favorite drink. And here is some Monteverde ink, and here is some Birmingham coffee bean ink. So it doesn't matter what ink I use. So here we go. We'll just use, I guess, this pen right here. And we're going to put a cartridge in it. And you want to make sure they're going to fit and press it in there good. Yeah, that'll snap. Did you hear that? Yeah.
Yes.
Good. And we want to give it time for the ink to go down into the feed and then to the nib, and then voila, you have a inked up pen. And we'll get to that in a minute, giving it time to go down. And I'll have some paper handy by to see how it writes. And I'll check that out right now. So, is everybody getting ready for Thanksgiving? We are. We're not going to have a big one, but yeah, we are. And as you can see, no ink to the nib yet. On a lot of pens it does that, at least for me it does. So, let's get this ink. This is how I do mine. In the pen. With that pen. Okay, so it's not working. So, let me try something else. I squeezed it. Got some ink out. That's cool. Just make sure you have a napkin or something you don't want to get it on whatever you're writing on. So let's see how this writes here. All right. Still not good enough, but it will. I prefer to use a ink converter. That way it'll start up real quick. Okay. Wow, this is getting ink to the feed. So let's say that you've already put your cartridge in the pen and this is happening. You're going to have to either squeeze that cartridge or kind of keep using some force, up, down force like this, or you can do it like that to get that ink really good and saturated in that feed. At least I do. What I like about this, the converter, you stick your pen, and I'll show you this after a while, in your ink it up. That way that feed's already saturated with ink. But on the flip side, the good thing about this is that after your nib gets saturated with the ink and you run out of ink, and as long as you use the same color of cartridge, you just pop another one in and start writing because your feed's already has ink in it. Hopefully enough ink left that you can start writing again. Almost there. For me, it's frustrating. But once you get it done, there we go. It's going in the feed. Now this is not editing the video, showing you actually how and what happens. Very nice nib. Jinhao. All right, there you go. So that little Jew is ready to go. It's inked up and ready. And if I use the cartridges, I always carry, you know, an extra one. Would I need more than that? Not really. This will last quite a bit, so you'd be surprised. Okay, so let's say you want to put ink into a cartridge. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of this ink, and I'm going to use this syringe just to show you how I would refill a cartridge. So let me get it out, okay? You get the idea. There's a little more left in it, but here's the idea. You see the ink in the syringe. Now, let's say this is completely empty, and you don't want to put the same ink in it. You want to put a different type of ink in it. Like, let's say, Birmingham, the coffee bean ink. Well, you would just suck up that ink and fill slowly. Fill the nib back up. As so.
And where did you get the syringe from with that special needle?
Okay, you can get these from Goulet nibs and Anderson pens. Goulet pens and Anderson pens have them. And I think the Pen Thing, I'm not sure if the Pen Thing store has them. Gold Spot pens and Pen Chalet probably have them. But here's what I experienced on the needles. They're different sizes. This one, I believe, came from Goulet back in 2015. And I have 3 more. And the Anderson needle is a bit shorter than this one. I like a long needle myself so it can get down in there. But, you know, the shorter one works as well. So that's that. So, let's just say, let me get some ink out that, because I don't want to I would do this in water and clean it out real good, but I'm not doing it right now. Okay, so I need to get some ink. I can draw it from the bottle or from the ink miser. So let's just say we can do it from here to show you how this works. And before I do that, let's go ahead and get another cartridge. Okay, I am going to fill up this cartridge because I want a different ink in it. So I've got more than enough ink. Insert your needle into the cartridge and do it slow. Okay. And that's that. So we're going to put this back in. Take all that good stuff out. Okay, let's set this aside for right now. Inky finger time. I always get inky on that. So, showed you how to refill a cartridge, right? Okay, well, what's the next step? This ink converter. Let's get that going next. Make sure this is secure on your table, and you put your converter in it, and you're going to have to want to hold it depending how high your ink is. If it's up to here, you would have better leverage to turn your knob, but that's all the ink that was in this little bottle, so make do with it. But if, let's just say, if that's all you have left and you want to use it up, you want to hold it here and turn. Not too fast, take your time. Okay. And voila, you got it. Okay. Then I always do a couple of turns when I have it in the nib for the fountain pen use. Get some out. So there. Well, that's one way of doing it. So let's say you are really way down in there and you can't reach it. What I sometimes do, stick my pencil in there, then it kind of raises up, right? So then I have a better shot to fill my ink up without it going all crazy all over the place. See, voila. And just wipe off my pencil. And that's all there is to that. Not too bad, eh? Alright. Let's see how the pen's writing, because I haven't had the cap on it, so it could have dried out by now. There it goes. But always, put your cap on, because not all pens, but depending on the pen you have, it can dry out. Not too bad though. All right, now we are going to fill this up here, the syringe up. Set that right there. I'm going to get me some grease. Some silicone grease. You don't need a lot. And again, I've had this since 2015. What does that tell you? I don't do a lot of it, do I? No, I really don't. I really never have gotten into this because I like to change inks out a lot. So that should be enough. Well, here we go. I'm going to fill up my pen. A lot of ink, right? And, of course, you can get more and fill it all the way to the top. So, let me get my... I guess what I can do is actually put all this in there as well. Fill it up real good. And that's how you do that part. Okay. And you want to make sure that your barrel isn't cracked, that it's in good condition, so you won't have any problems with it leaking. That's what you don't want. A leaky pen everywhere, okay? So, that's that. So again, this, what I just did, I call an eyedropper. And as you see, my cool fingers all full of ink. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it may. And again, I don't edit it to show you how things behind the lines can work. So don't freak out when you get inks on your finger. That's okay. You're taking care of your babies, your fountain pens, your pens that you love. And you're helping them, right? All right, so here's what's cool about these pens that are clear barrels. You can make this into an eyedropper as long as it doesn't have any holes in it. So what do you say we do that now? Because we can. And before we do that, let's take the ink converter out. I took all that ink right out. All right. So I better get my little QT here and get some silicone around that. Seal that off. All right. And I'm gonna put that right in. You need to put the silicone on this end. I did put some on the outside because I just wanted to test something while I'm doing it. No, it's not. Okay. All right. As you can see, this is an eyedropper. And I just filled it up. And you always want to put silicone on the inside, on those threads. Okay. I had a viewer that asked me, the reason why I did this, I had a viewer brand new to the fountain pen world that has one of these pens, a Wingsong, a different color, and he was asking, as you see those threads out here, are you supposed to put silicone around these? And he was embarrassed of asking. I said, no, don't be embarrassed. And I told him, I will do this on camera for you to show you. So I hope he's watching. And there's no need for that because this is the barrel. There's no threads on the outside. The only reason why you see those threads because it's a clear barrel and you see it inside. So you saw me put silicone on the threads, right? But no, this is just part of the barrel. And, you know, yeah, you can do it all day you want. Not going to hurt it. Nope. Not going to hurt it at all. You can just wipe it off. No big deal. So, hey, you ask a good question. You're learning. And you don't want to ever get silicone on your nibs, okay? Remember that. So, now we've got that. So now we need to get that going into the feed. And it's clear. And you can see through here the ink going down. See it? It's going down to the feed. Can you see it? So let's see if it's ready to write yet. I have got a mess over here. That's okay. That's a fun part. Working with your pen. So let's come back over here. The Wingsong is really a real nice pen. Very nice pen. Now we're going to get it to write. And tap. Get it in that feed good. It's down pretty much saturated, so let's get it down some more. There we go. Okay, here is the pen again, the Wingsong, made into an eyedropper, and you can see the ink flushing back and forth. Spin it around, whatever color of ink you like using. Some people like doing this. Now this is an extra fine nib, so don't expect a real deep, rich ink. But it writes decent. For an extra fine, I like it. Okay, that is extra fine Wingsong nib eyedropper. Show you how I filled it, how I use the silicone grease, and how I greased it on the inside. Just make sure you get a Q-tip and grease it up. I have done this before, but like I said, I change ink too much. And sometimes what you need to watch, if it gets too low, it'll stop writing because of this right here. When you're feeding your ink, sometimes, you see that little nipple sticking out, that's where the ink goes through and runs down the feed into your nib. It may not be enough ink in there. So, always a possibility. Everybody's different. So that's how this pen operates. So, I guess what I'm going to do is take this ink out, and I am just going to pour it back into the Vato. I do have lots to clean up. All right, well that's this one done for now. So let's see. I showed you how to use the ink converter in the Mizer. If your ink's too low, your converter will get, let's say, so low that it's hard to turn that handle because you need to hold on to something. So I showed you how to put the pencil in first, and it will hold the converter from falling all the way down so you can grip the pen and turn the knob and fill your ink converter up. Take your time, do it slow, and it'll work, no problem whatsoever, and just wipe off your pen. So we got that solved, right? I showed you the ink syringe. Again, after it's clean, put it back in your syringe, keep them together. At least that's how I do it. And when you use it, push it back in there, the tip, you're good to go. And make sure you always clean everything out when you get done with it, okay? So that was pretty simple, right? And of course, you want to clean out your ink converters. That's important. So I showed you how to do the
eyedropper.
And I showed you how to use the
ink converter.
Very good. Yay, he's learning. Yay. And to fill up, and this was the Jinhao 992. So we got all that together. And I'm just going to put this in here right now because I've got to wash them all out anyway. And put it here together. So, and I showed you how to fill a
cartridge.
Yes. And I showed you how to suck the ink out of it if you ever want to just get the ink out because you don't like that color of ink and you prefer to use a different ink. You can. That's how I would do it. Now, this is a Pilot ink converter. This won't fit anything but the Pilot. Okay? But they come in, there's so many different refills. You know, I do like the Pilot mixable colors, a bunch of beautiful colors that Pilot puts out. And I believe this is a Sailor. No, this is a Pilot also as well. More Pilots. Mont Blanc cartridges. Waterman. Monteverde. And this is just a few cartridges I have. A few. I've got a whole lot more Cross, Blue Black. I've got abundance of them. They're up on the shelf. So I never run out of cartridges when I need one. Okay, so I think one last thing we'll do for the fun of it. And I might as well do that now. I want to ink up a pen so I can use today. The Jinhao 450. Jinhao nib. All these nibs interchange with each other. That's what's good about it. I always do that when I'm getting ready to ink my pen. Once, twice is good enough. You don't want to get a whole lot of air bubbles in there. And I'll show you how I ink up my pen. Now, I have to go way deep because this is getting real low. Now see, you're going to get inky fingers for sure. But there's a little bit in there if you can see, but not a lot. So, here's what I have to do. Let me go wash this out real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I washed my hands. Yay. And I washed out the miser. And I want to make sure I get all that ink out of there that's in there. That's just me. You don't have to, but that's just, like I said, me. And I'm going to put some ink in there. I love Noodler's Bay State Blue. Yep. A lot of people don't like it. That's fine. Remember, we all have our own opinions. And we have our own way of doing things. You may find a better way to do inking up your pens than I do. Great. And what I do to rinse this out, because it will stain the plastic here, I wash it out real good, and then I get a little bit of bleach, and sometimes I have to let it sit overnight, or it may clean out pretty good when I rinse it out. And let me get my feet going there, get a few drops out. Okay. I'm good to go. And I'll be using this pen with some other pens. So, put the lid back on it. See, for me, this is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time entertaining myself. I'm here with my friends. These are my friends. So you can make friends. If you don't have any people friends, God willing, you'll have some ink friends. And, you know, when you're working with pens or writing with pens, expect to get your fingers inky. And that's okay because you're doing what you enjoy doing, right? So let's see how this pen writes. Now, this was an extra fine Wing Sung nib. This was a fine, I believe, let me make sure, Jinhao 992 nib. Yep, fine nib, right. And this is a medium Jinhao nib. Beautiful ink. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful ink. Nice and wet nib. Jinhao has some decent nibs. Oh yeah, you may run into Jinhao nibs that may be dry, scratchy, but I've ran into some pens, other pens, much higher end than the Jinhao that were real dry, scratchy. Can't stand that as well. So you'll find a little bit of this and that in your pens. So I hope I showed you something, and that was helpful to you. But it's a lot of fun to learn, explore, experiment. But let me give you a warning. It is addicting. You'll love it. And there's people out there in the fountain pen world that have abundance of pens. Abundance of inks. Inks on inks on inks. It's a wonderful world of fountain pens. Of people that actually entertained with fountain pens. You don't get bored. Too many things to do with fountain pens. So much cool stuff. The interactions you can do with fountain pens and inks. You just have a great time just sitting down at the table. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try taking out that nib. Now, I've shown how to take out nibs. The friction fit. Very simple. I show you how to refill the cartridge, how to take the ink out. I've showed you how I use the ink miser with a pencil. If needed, just depends how low the ink is. But if it's up real high, then I don't have to use a pencil. But it does work, you saw that. I showed you how to fill an eyedropper on both pens. I showed you to put a cartridge in the pen. It takes a bit of time to get that ink into the feed. Sometimes, depending on the pen, I've seen the once you put that cartridge on, I forgot what pen it was, that ink just went right down into the feed and bingo, started writing. But not all pens are like that. Showed you how to get this started with a converter. I didn't leave anything out. I didn't edit it. I want to show you the problems I had and what I had to deal with. I didn't want to paint it all roses because it's not, but it's not that hard to do. And then I showed you how to use a converter, right? We talked about the syringe. Once again, it showed you about how I make my nibs a bit wetter. I think that's about going to cover it. I hope I didn't miss anything. Well, that's going to cover this episode. I invested a lot of time and work in this video to help all you that have asked me questions about it. And to the fellow that asked a question, you did not ask a stupid question or a silly question about putting grease out on the barrel, because you see the nib where you screw it in, right? You see all that and you're thinking, wow, should I grease it? Yeah, that's not stupid, but no, there's no need for it. That's just, it shows through the threads, show through the barrel. But hey, I've asked questions that were off the wall when I began with fountain pens. So, but again, make sure if you're going to do an eyedropper that barrel doesn't have any cracks or holes in it or any metal parts to it, because it could rust it and you have leaks. So that's going to take care of this video. You can feel free to leave your comments below. Be civil. And this is how I fill my pens. You may have different methods. Cool. Y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Share the love. Be safe. And don't text and drive. God bless. Later, guys.